every little change kind of has a domino effect. So if you don't account for that.
Hey everyone, it's John Adams. Welcome back to the Process Lab podcast, the show where we tackle common business challenges and provide insights for operational excellence. Today on the show, we will be discussing engineering and major projects and how things can go wrong, I guess. And we're very fortunate to be joined by Ryan Labus. Ryan, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
And Ryan, why don't you tell us a little? A pleasure. Why don't you tell everyone a little bit about yourself and what brought you to the podcast today?
Okay, so I'm Ryan Labus. I'm a business development manager for a company called Pro Engineering Consulting. We are an engineering firm in Carlsbad, California, San Diego County, that provides a number of engineering services, mainly focused on MEP, which stands for mechanical, electrical, and plumbing. And we also offer a couple other services like structural engineering and fire protection as well. So we work with a number of different architects, developers, and contractors to essentially drop the plans and perform some calculations on different construction projects to make sure everything is compliant with local building codes and also supports the architect's vision for the project, as well as ensure just comfort and operational and energy efficiency for both workplaces and living spaces as well.
Is that mostly commercial or residential or both?
Mainly commercial, yeah. I mean, we consider like multifamily apartment buildings and things like senior living to be commercial, even though people are living there. But yeah, as far as residential, like single family homes, whether it's like a development of tract homes or custom residential, that's a smaller part of the portfolio. A lot of what we do is multifamily and then different types of retail, warehousing, things like that.
And who usually brings you into the project? What's the sequence for you to get involved?
It's usually the architect. The architect on most projects it's kind of like the general contractor who hires out the different subcontractors who have their own trade or their own specialty, their own discipline. The architect will kind of quarterback each construction project pre-construction or in the design phase. So they'll hire out different engineers, or like a landscape architect, interior designer, and then the more specialized disciplines, people that might be designing like audio visual or security systems for a project, something of that nature.
And do you have to coordinate with people, or are you basically captive to the general contractor or whoever that is?
Yeah, there's a lot of parties involved in the project. We are coordinating with the architect when they do something like change the floor plan and move a wall or change a ceiling height that affects essentially what we do, because a lot of what we're designing is how to run and route the like utilities throughout the walls, the wiring, the plumbing and piping, fire sprinkler system, the HVAC, heating and air conditioning system. So we're kind of working to make sure that it all fits, meets code, runs efficiently, and try to conceal it as much as possible to, support the aesthetics of the project.
And maybe if you could take us through the sequence that is ideal in terms of your companies getting involved and how that should go through the whole project, and then the sequence of it not going well and what people could do to avoid that.
Okay. Well, without going on too long of a rant here, I guess you could say like the general design process usually begins with an architect and like a civil engineer. They're usually going to look at, let's just say this is a brand new development. A developer just bought a plot of land. They're going to look at the land itself, test the soils. The architect is going to take a look around. They'll look at what can be done from a building code perspective as far as like what can be constructed here. Let's say like a multifamily building, what's the density meaning the number of units or the height of the building that's allowed on site. They'll kind of put together, a few options for the developer to go over in what's like a schematic design phase. And at that point, that's some architects will reach out to us at that point, and some will wait until a later phase. I think it is important to reach out to the mechanical, electrical, and plumbing engineers early on, to just assess what's readily available nearby from the utility company, because that can start, that can be a very long process if you need to quite literally modify the grid or just the infrastructure in place for bringing in power, bringing in water, sewage, things like that to a property. The civil engineer is also involved at that point, and there's even people that specialize in coordination with the utility companies, and then it gets kind of pushed along to.
Sorry. Could I just, so why would people wait? You said some people, they should get you involved then, but why would people wait to get you involved?
Sometimes maybe it's just cost, and sometimes maybe it's just the way that they've always done it. They don't think it's necessary. I think, what the services we provide, at a certain point, it becomes necessary. Like you have to have a licensed engineer stamp the blueprints, the plans that we're turning into the city. But kind of on the research and like feasibility study side, if you will, very early on, they just might not think it's necessary. But I think it's really key to get an engineering firm like ours involved really early on, because there's so much, especially in the state of California, with building code changing. You just have to look at things like having the correct amount of space allocated for certain pieces of equipment, or let's say solar up on the roof, which is now a mandate. You want a feature on your property like a rooftop deck or something like that, and you got to put the air conditioning equipment up there, and you still have to meet code for solar. And there's a lot of mix and match, I guess you'd say, of or different design options. But
do you have some examples of things that went really wrong that could have been avoided if you were giving it for instance, maybe those are examples, but of things of it ending up costing a lot more because you weren't involved earlier?
A few common things that we see the most are, I would say, space allocation for solar. If you want a rooftop deck, or the engineers are just placing like air conditioning equipment kind of scattered all throughout the roof and not kind of organizing it into one corner or one like segment of the roof, then you don't have enough space for solar. Or maybe you're not able to have that feature like a rooftop deck or lounge that you'd like if engineers are placing equipment in seemingly randomly places. There's other ones too involved, like California is obviously moving towards going all electric, getting rid of things like gas appliances. That's already come into effect in Los Angeles. Other areas haven't adopted that yet, but some of the more, I guess, progressive areas like in the Bay and Los Angeles have adopted that. That means that you'll need more power, since you're not having any appliances like your dryer or your stove is gas, and that makes ultimately the electrical room get larger. So that's space now that you have to account for. Later on, you might be shrinking the lobby or one of the amenity spaces on the first floor to make up for that. And every little change kind of has a domino effect. So if you don't account for that early on, intended use space too, you work on like a mixed use building, which basically just means there's retail on or parking on the ground floor, and then you have apartments above. If you don't plan for those to be, a restaurant space, there's a lot different things that come into play and a lot of different modifications you're going to have to make to the building later on, which can be very costly.
How does everyone keep track of everything? So like, what's the like? There's a lot of different people that need to be involved in a single project, and so how's like, do you use software or what's the general industry standard for that?
Yeah. I mean, as far as software, there's a lot of different software out there for construction management. I'd say like Procore is the name of the software. That's one of the most popular ones. Um, for the longest time, design's been, and it still is. I think a majority of projects are still designed in AutoCAD, which is like a two-dimensional design software. That's used across multiple different industries. Um, and we're moving closer to um, I mean, we already have started to, but I think industry wide people are getting closer to widely adopting like 3D modeling, so you can see kind of the clash in design between different disciplines. Like if you're looking at architectural 3D, what the building's going to look like, kind of a virtual walkthrough, and then we're going to go, okay, this isn't going to fit here, this isn't going to fit there, we're going to have to adjust and or come up with a solution if we want to keep that same kind of design. But
in the visualization, that's not where it would like. If you were trying to develop like the software that you thought was the best in the industry, you'd figure out a way to put yourselves in the right spot in terms of the sequence of events. Like you shouldn't be all the way at this stage of the project without having involved us. So that's the first software you were talking about?
Yeah, I mean, it's still been pretty effective because you can do like an overlay, but it's two-dimensional as opposed to like a three-dimensional overlay where you're going to have you're going to see the spacing better. You're going to see the spacing between, ceiling and floor above. You're going to see wall thickness, things like that. Just leads to.
Sorry. I meant like the project management side of it. Like, so the visualization will be clear, like, oh, you didn't think of this or whatever. But I'm saying like, in what way does the industry keep track of coordinating all the different activities that need to be done?
That's mainly done through like the project management softwares, like a Procore.
Okay.
There's a lot of different basic project management, like scheduling softwares. But as far as, and again, I'm not on the project management side, so I don't.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I appreciate.
No, you're good. I don't want to give out any false information. But as far as kind of the proactive approach and looking for some of the things that I mentioned, to my knowledge at this point, it kind of just boils down to the experience and forward thinking, just trying to figure out, what complications might arise down the road if we don't address them at the immediate stage of the project. I'm sure there is some softwares out there where you might be able to, or they're currently being developed where you might be able to upload a set of plans and it might, give you a bunch of red flags. Well, what if you want to change, the intended use of this space in the future? Have you considered that? But right now, it kind of just boils down to experience, to my knowledge.
Oh, that's tough.
Mm-hmm.
It's relying on a person, to be on top. What distinguishes a good engineering firm from another? Like why you guys?
I mean, I think for the most part, it's everyone's gonna talk about just generalized experience and like I mentioned, that kind of proactive approach, getting involved early, questioning kind of the basis of design, making sure that it's going to work and not speaking up and not ignoring things that might become a problem down the line. I mean, communication is really the biggest gripe with a lot of engineers. I'm on the business development side. I think I'm a little bit more extroverted. The typical the stereotypical engineer is, doesn't want to pick up the phone. They don't really want to call. And that's really what I like about working here at Pro Engineering. I mean, we're a smaller family-owned business, but I think we have the systems in place and still, are on par quality-wise as far as our deliverables. when compared to larger companies or competitors. But I think a good engineer is just communicative. Our my boss and our CEO is also our head electrical engineer, and he's just willing to actually make it out to a job site and verify what's going on. Um, he's very involved in meetings. I think you just can't leave things to the last minute in this industry.
Yeah. So I guess the typical engineer would be like, well, if they want the bathroom in the lobby, right out in the middle, I guess that's what I'll do. Like, uh, as opposed to, well, anyway. What else should people keep in mind when it comes to hiring an engineer?
I would say in general, if you have a knowledge base yourself, it's not a bad thing to question the engineer as well. A lot of people might not say that, but certain projects might be over engineered. I think that's another thing you need to pay attention to is the engineer taking a consultative approach and really trying to identify your objectives for the project. We can design something that's extremely high end and you know and innovative and has the latest greatest technology, or if this is a construction project, if you're just looking for the you know the cheapest way to construct this, you think that it's gonna give you a higher ROI on your project, then let us know, and we can do the minimal amount required to just meet the building code. So
How do people get themselves informed? Just be clear on what they want.
I think just be clear on what they want. There's a checks and balances kind of system where you there's certain things that we have to do because we have to be compliant with codes, and then there's things that we don't exactly have to do. But I guess just be open to suggestion. If someone comes off genuine and is actually saying that if we design something a different way is going to save you money, or it's going to be more energy efficient, or it's going to keep your operational costs down in the long run, then there's really no, I give people the benefit of the doubt and say there's really no reason why we would engineer it in the in a way that's less efficient unless it's a demand or a request to do so.
Yeah. Well, I guess someone could, depending on what a person wants from a project, they could do it any which way they want if they're willing to pay. So
Yeah.
and people do. Okay, well, I guess as we're wrapping up here, any call to action, or how would people go about? Well, I guess start by how would people reach you, and the geography you cover.
Sure. Okay, so as far as, I'll start with geography, I guess. A majority of our projects are in Southern California, due to the fact that we're based in the San Diego area, but we are licensed to work in all 50 states. So nationwide, any type of construction project that you would need help with, where engineering is required, we're happy to help you out. I think the other thing too is, we're happy to just be a resource too. I think the goal or the vision is to kind of, just further enhance, like our one-stop shop mentality, provide as many services in-house as possible. So it doesn't necessarily,
People could do a consult with you.
definitely, yeah, definitely a consult. It could be a project that we weren't even involved in the design on. Maybe it's during construction now, and you need some type of value engineering, or you have a question about how, something could have been done better, or you just want our general opinion on something. We're always happy to do that and help everyone out. There's a lot of work out there for everyone, and we're just happy to help people learn how to do things the the right way or a better way than they're doing it now. Or, we're also open to suggestion on or hearing different opinions on how you do things. So, primarily, like I said earlier, we're coming into the project through the architect, but if you're a developer or a contractor and you've dealt with issues due to lack of communication or lack of expertise or not being able to meet deadlines in the past, you can reach out to us, and we're happy to take a look for you and see if it makes sense to join forces and help you out on your next project.
It sounds like you have a good culture there, like a good group of people to go through a long process like this with.
That's the thing too. It's when you're stressed, you're trying to meet deadlines. You kind of want to be able to look to your left and your right and see that, they're in the trenches with you, for lack of a better phrase. And just that, I do. I believe in my team's ability to deliver. I'm on the business development side, and once I kind of quote unquote make the sale or I build the relationship when we start to work with someone, there's not a whole lot left for me to do. So I'm, trusting in my team's just ability to pretty much just stay true to the commitments that we've made to the clients, or I've told the client, exactly how we're going to perform for them, and they know how important it is to meet the expectations.
Excellent. Well, Ryan, a pleasure having you on the show today.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll put in, I guess, in the links so everyone will be able to see, or if you want to just give the website or contact info, maybe.
Yeah, I'll throw that out there real quick. I realized we got carried away and I forgot. If you want to go to our website, it is www.proeng, like engineering abbreviated, then the letter C for consulting. So proengc.com. You can also contact me, Ryan, RYAN, at proengc.com.
Well, thanks again, Ryan. And for those of you listening, if you've had a problem with this, any project that's gone awry, please share in the comments, like, subscribe, and till next time. Thanks.
Thanks.